Yes, so this is the last episode of the year and I want to cover a lot today. If you're not following me on Instagram, you totally should be because you're missing out. Okay, so I've posted a couple of plants on Instagram. This is a Monstera Scanliana or whatever. I'll put it on the screen. So people were wondering why I planted it like this. So what I did on this particular plant was I have the balls, the leca in the bottom 3/4, but the top little bit I have some moss. The first 3 to 4 weeks when I first put something into semi-hydro, I'm learning that you need to really baby it and keep it very humid. And so this just helps with humidity a little bit on those top roots. And look at the roots. I've had this plant for I think 11 days and those are the roots that have already grown out. And what I did is I just stuck it in the net pot inside of a coffee cup. How much it's grown already. When I was doing orchids, I noticed those top few roots were just dry and shrivelly and struggling, and I always and it didn't matter what kind of orchid, it always felt like they needed more dampness next to those top roots, but the leca didn't really deliver. So when I saw Michael do this on Michael's Orchids, I will link his thing down below. I got my start on semi-hydroponics with orchids. I did those for either a year or two. My dogs ate most of my orchids. But I still refer back to my babying this plant. Once it really takes off, it's gonna go into a regular semi-hydroponic pot. Hydroponic tips of the year, it's turned into 12 or 13. I don't know where we're gonna end up. And I have another show on that. I will link it above. Go slowly. Do not convert all of your houseplants in 1 week, like me, unless you're okay with casualties. Now, if you're like me, my personality, I'm very high on learner, I'm very high on education. And to me, if I lose a few houseplants, I'm basically taking a class, I'm self-educating on growing plants in passive hydroponics. So if I lose a few plants, it was the price of the class, okay? So for me, I used to buy fresh cut flowers almost weekly. I had other expenses that I've cut out decorating. I don't go to furniture stores anymore and look for art. I am decorating with plants. And so if a couple of plants die here or there, to me, it's like you were part of the laboratory and you're a part of the learning process. And so I'm actually okay with that. I'd rather have a few casualties than all of my plants in semi-hydroponics, then half in semi-hydroponics and half in dirt. I have committed to no dirt. So in my commitment, I hope y'all learn some things as you watch the channel. Number 2, research. So when you go into semi-hydroponics, before you just jump on the semi-hydroponics train or passive hydroponics train, do as much research as possible. Having said that, don't do so much research that you get afraid. That's what happened to me with orchids. I was afraid to feed my orchids because the people that I was watching and the research I was doing, it sounded so scientific that if I did something wrong, I was afraid of killing my orchids. So I never fed them, I only gave them water. Therefore, I got very slow growth and very few flowers. You do have to feed your orchids. They are living in water. So same thing with your plants. At some point, you can do water to start out with, but at some point you are going to need to add nutrients to your water to see the growth, the happiness, and the joy of passive hydroponics. So do a lot of research, kind of connect with the people like Minimalist Callie is a great example. She threw all of her plants into semi-hydroponics. She's like, it was so easy. They did so great. And I don't feel like, and she's done, since she said that, she's done a few more semi-hydro videos, but I feel like my experience was some were easier, others were not so easy. Some have died. So it hasn't been as simple as that. And sometimes I think if something's really simple to someone, it's because they have like a sixth sense about plants. They can tell when they need water. They are very good at not overwatering. Search number 3, but don't do so much research that you get terrified and then you don't want to do it. Number 3, establish a system. So once you've decided I want to go into semi-hydroponics and you've done 2 or 3 plants and you're starting to be successful and you're like, ooh, I'm going to be doing this. I'm going to be converting my whole collection. If you have a collection, make sure, well, this is what's helped me is to have a system. I have my clean leca in one bin. I have dirty leca or leca that have had roots rot in another bin. So kind of in your brain, like, okay, this is where my leca is going to be. Where's the dirt going to go that you're throwing out? Do you have a compost bin? Do you have a garden? I have like an easy place right outside my back door. I can dump my dirt. And so I just dump it there, but kind of have your plan, because there are days when you know it's time to convert this plant and I really don't want to. So today was one of those days. I converted 3 lipstick plants. I really didn't want to. I had a horrible attitude about it, but because my leca was right there, my dirt area is right here, I've done this so many times, I just knew today's the day. I like to convert plants when they're really, really dry. They're desperately thirsty. That's when I like to just, woo, guess what? You have a new home for your roots, and just kind of ease them and spa them into thinking, this is the best thing since sliced bread. Comforting thing. Once you've decided, I really am interested in semi-hydroponics and I want to go this way, make sure there's hashtag leca, hashtag soil free club, hashtag soil free. There's some hashtags on Instagram. Follow those hashtags and it will so inspire you and so lift you up to see all of these people all over the world putting their plants in semi-hydroponics and the success stories, right? When you want to lose weight, you want to get on those Instagrams where people are showing how great their system has worked, keto or whatever. When you want to put your plants into semi-hydroponics, definitely connect socially with people who've gone before you and done it. I wanted to say there's a podcast, Bloom and Grow. I've been in the dark. I didn't know about it. I just tuned into Bloom and Grow, and she has one, and I'm going to post the information above, a semi-hydroponics podcast she did. And it was like put 100 plants into semi-hydroponics and they give all of their information and what was important to them and how it's been successful for them. Love success stories. Find your favorite leca source. Now this may seem silly because if you're only doing one plant, you don't need a leca source. You just need one bag of leca. However, I've done a lot of plants, and so having the leca at my fingertips, finding it locally, I knew, okay, if I go to IKEA for $5.99, I can get a bag this big. And then I looked online and I found a hydroponic, it's called Bright Ideas Aquaponics, and it's a hydroponic supplier. Hydroponic gardening is becoming bigger and bigger. And so a lot of the larger cities will have 1, sometimes even 2 hydroponic supply companies. They will have 50-liter bags of leca or a generic brand of leca that will be perfect. Easy plants in semi-hydroponics, easy plants to start with. I had trouble with the pothos. I had trouble with the Adansonii. And I also want to suggest when you buy a plant, buy 2. Or if it's big enough, take cuttings off and start propagating a second plant. Always have 2 plants if you can. If it's this giant plant and you like, I'm just getting one of these, if they have a smaller one, get the smaller one. Always have an insurance plan for your plants, especially if it's a plant you really love. The Scindapicus pictus, I have one behind me. I have 2, like in case that one dies, in case something happens, in case it starts going south, I can kind of compare them, and it's part of my schooling for myself is to have 2 Don't start with a pothos. Really easy plants. Sansevierias, Hoyas, Monsteras, Pileas. Those were easy. Level 2 plants are gonna be ficus. They take about 4 months to adjust well. Pothos, if you watch my video, it'll help you, but just know you might kill a couple of pothos before you get it right. Any plants with really fine baby roots, oh, that's what I did today. So the lipstick plant has really fine baby roots. Do not do a lipstick plant first thing out of the box. Do something with meatier roots, like an anthurium or a, I don't know, anything, but those fine baby roots are very frustrating when you first start. How deep do you, like, I have a lipstick plant, it's doing phenomenal, it's flowering, but it's heavy and the roots are this big. I'll put a screenshot of one of the roots pictures I took today. You'll have a branch this long and then the roots are this big. It's too much over the water. So this is the #1 stressor for me when I did orchids. I was very afraid to water. I was very afraid of feeding my orchids. Don't try, just take deep breaths and get a plan in your mind. Okay, I don't need my nutrient system the first 3 to 4 weeks. I can just water with water and then kind of get it in your mind what you're gonna do for a nutrient system. Now, for me, I did a 3-part nutrient system, Minimalist Cali, recommended 3 parts on the pH. The 3-part did not work for me. The pH did not work for me. However, all of my plants, or 95% of those plants, are still alive, okay? So if you pick a nutrient system or a nutrient system that's just a little too high stress, I think I was putting too many acid drops to try to get the pH perfect. It was just stressing my plants out. The leaves were turning yellow. They all survived, but it was not a good experience for them or for me. So once I backed down, I was like, I'm not gonna measure pH. I'm just gonna do a single nutrient system. We've all relaxed a little bit and they're happier, but they did survive the system that I ultimately did not end up with. So just get one system, start with that. You'll know, your plants will talk to you, and always go down a pot size, if possible, maybe 2 pot sizes. Your plants, the roots and the dirt's taking up a lot of space. Once you get the dirt off those roots, they need to go down a pot size to be successful in semi-hydroponics. If in doubt, don't water. If in doubt, don't water. I like to lift my inside pot out of the cache pot, and let's say it looks dry, and I can't remember when I watered it. I like to feel the bottom of the inside pot, because sometimes there's no water in the bottom and it looks dry. If you feel the bottom, there's still wetness on the bottom. That means, ooh, it's still watering. Forget the plant. Okay, so once you kind of set your plant up, the first 2 or 3 weeks are kind of touchy. It can be touchy. I like to put the plants in the shower with me. That way I'll see them every day. They get lots of steam. I don't do humidifiers at this point. Once I see, like this plant, really in 1 week, it's happy. I mean, it's ready to kind of go in a pot. So not all plants are like that. Some plants it's 2 days, some plants it's 4 weeks, and then you'll just start seeing a little new growth, some new roots. Once you see that, you're like, okay, you're off of watch duty and you can go into on a shelf, kind of high up, water it, put it on a shelf. Try not to be a helicopter mom and your plant is gonna do awesome. Okay, so helicopter momming is really hard on the celebrate the small successes. These roots, I'm just like doing the happy dance over the roots of this little plant. I haven't had it that long, but I'm just so excited that it already has all of these big roots. I can hardly contain myself, and that is why you need to join me on my Instagram so you can see the progress and even some of my new plants when I get them. Clip the yellow leaves, and then if your plant is kind of fading a little bit, take it out with gloves on, take off the dead roots, put it back in. It's gonna lose some roots, it's gonna lose some leaves. Don't stress. Keep the plant tidy. Keep its roots tidy. Keep the upper story of the plant tidy. And you're gonna do awesome at this. I am so excited. Now the cool thing about the semi-hydroponics or the passive hydroponics is once your plant has taken wings and is flying, you just won't believe how much growth it gets. The new leaves, I mean, I have plants that'll get 5 new leaves at one time. I have plants that have grown like 8 inches in 3 months. I have plants, it's winter time here, but it is Texas. But people ask me about the winter and I'm like, unless you keep your house 40 degrees, your winter should be as kind of as close to your summer as possible, except, you know, if you have a radiator on or a heater on, the humidity will go down some. But yeah, my plants are doing just as well in the winter as they did in the summer. Question of the day, it's the end of the year. And so this is going to be a little bit longer video because I am including a question of the day and my answer is kind of long. So the question of the day is, what is a plant that has really inspired you from your past or a plant person? So my plant, our family lived in Texas and at one point we moved to Kentucky. My dad actually went to prison and we moved to Kentucky prior to his time in prison, white collar crime. And we had this huge Ficus benjamina in our house in Texas. So my mom strapped that plant. Now y'all know how sensitive ficus are, okay? If you don't, ficus are sensitive. So she strapped that plant to the back of the truck. I think we couldn't fit it in the truck, so they bungee corded it or something. Every leaf blew off of the Ficus benjamina. And when we got to the house in Kentucky, totally different climate, she just put it right in the living room, not one leaf on that thing. And we got busy, we unpacked, we started living our lives, we turned around and that ficus grew every single leaf back on its body. So that was a really cool plant memory. I was 10 years old and I love that story. I love that that plant grew all of its leaves back. It was a promise of a good future. It was a promise of a hope. And so recently, if you're following me on Instagram, you'll know my Ficus Danielle has lost every leaf except for maybe 10 leaves. And it's a full tree that I converted to semi-hydroponics. And I just have so much hope that it's going to be fine. I'm misting it and giving it plenty of sunshine. And that is how you have to be about your plants. Positive, and it's just going to be okay. And if it doesn't turn out okay, there's a plant store probably a block from your house. So anyway, I hope that was a great plant story for y'all. Make sure in the comments down below, put either a grandmother, a mother, a father who inspired you into your plant habit. If you have one, if you don't, God bless your checkbook. You will be needing some coin. And we'll see you next time. See you next year. Bye-bye.